A game week 1 triple captaincy, a low of 2.2 million, and a final day of the season push for the top 100k. This is the full season review from game week 1 to game week 38. First of all, I want to thank you guys for watching my videos and my live streams throughout this season, and it has been going up and down all season. Of course, we had the coronavirus break, and then Project Restart came back, but I do want to just show my appreciation for everyone that comes onto the videos, likes, leave comments, and subscribes. It does mean a lot to me. I'm hoping to make a couple of videos over the summer and push on to be not just a better FPL player, but a better FPL content creator for the next coming season, and hopefully you guys will stick around for that. So we'll go from game week 1. So I mentioned a triple captaincy in the very first week. Now, I was in England for the start of this Premier League season, and so unfortunately I didn't have access. I didn't have my own computer at the time. I was having to borrow my parents', which is quite an old one, so I didn't do as much into it as I would have liked, but I always said I wanted Mo Salah against Norwich at home, and it just so happened it was the first game of the season. And you know what, it turned out pretty well, because a lot of people were unlucky with their triple captaincies, but you can see Mo Salah got me 36 points in that first game week. He got 12 points at home to Norwich. A goal and assist is not too bad for triple captaincy. Now, I am going to do a top tips video coming up in a week or two, where I've collected my experience that I've learned a lot over this season, as well as other people's advice that I think is quite valuable. One of them is going to be a debate about triple captaincy. Should it be a double game week? Should it be a single game week? Yes, I'll stick with the fact that if you've got a banging single game week player, you can go for it. But of course, if you're playing the odds, then a double game week player is always the best option for that. But if there aren't that many double game weeks, then you want to sort of say that for your bench boost or your free hit. I had also a vice captaincy. So if I was to start by explaining my review of the season, something that would have that would come up would be my captaincy picks were not good. And I've seen a lot of threads and a lot of points about how important captaincy is. And in the future, I think if you're going to get the top best players, let's say you've got Mo Salah, who for 2 seasons was the top, and he's had still a really good FPL season this year. If I would have just captained him every single week, every single game week, no matter what, I would have been in a better situation than trying to select the right captaincy every week. So I think something that I might try next year is to not mix the captaincies up as much. Now, of course, if Salah is away to Manchester City, but I've got a Chelsea player in there at home to a team that's bottom of the table that haven't scored also. If it's something that obvious, then I understand, but I think I'm going to be choosing a more consistent captaincy pick. Of course, Sterling getting 20 points first game of the season. We all had high hopes for this. Also, looking back at this team, Ryan in goal, that was a normal choice, I guess. Sigurdsson and Perez. We saw Perez going from Newcastle to Leicester at this point. Bournemouth, triple Bournemouth. Can you believe the start of the season when we were looking at the likes of Fraser and Wilson thinking, wow, they are wonderful picks to have, right? Absolute perfect picks, and how that has come to pass. And then starting the game week, of course, I've got Dunk on the bench for 11 points there. So Ryan getting 9, Dunk getting 11. 89 points in the first week with the triple captaincy. Not too bad. A game week rank of 343,000. I didn't make any transfers for this game week. The plan was obviously to not do anything for a couple of weeks. So in game week 1 and game week 2, there were no transfers. So going into game week 2, if I remember rightly, everyone had a most people had a very, very good game week 1. And game week 2, a lot of people had a very, very bad game week 2. You can see the average points for this game week was 41. And I got just above the average there. A Salah captaincy, but it really didn't matter for this game week who I would have given it to, because Sterling, yes, got 6 points again, and I stuck with Salah on the captaincy. Luka Dean getting me 11 points. Robertson, who has been in my team a lot this season. Liverpool, if you remember for the first part of the season, guys, Liverpool could not keep a clean sheet whatsoever. And a lot of people have doubled or even tried to triple up on the Liverpool defence. Because every season we have this debate, big at the back, and I didn't go for it. I went for 3-5-2 in the end. Probably my favourite formation. I like having 5 midfielders because it feels as though that is where you can get the big points from those wingers who are really strikers. For example, Mo Salah and Raheem Sterling. So a game week rank of 2.19 million. But again, 44 points. Average was 41, so I wasn't too sad about this one. So game week 3 saw my first two transfers, the two transfers that I'd saved up, and it was De Bruyne and Ceballos in, Perez, Fraser out. So I'm pretty sure I kept De Bruyne from now on until maybe 1 or 2 weeks I missed out when he got that injury around that Crystal Palace international break time. But, you know, he was a staple for a lot of people. Ended up finishing the top point scorer in FPL, and what a player he was. So again, captaincy pick didn't work out. Raheem Sterling was my captain, but Mo Salah outscored him. So again, you can see the first 3 game weeks between Salah and Sterling, and I've got it wrong 3 times out of 3. I got the captaincy pick wrong, I think, the first like 12 weeks in a row. It was absolutely crazy. I actually made 3 transfers. I took a hit. I brought Pookie in for this game week, for Callum Wilson. So both of my big Bournemouth boys, so to speak, Wilson and Fraser, left for this game week. Ceballos was just a dream, wasn't it? Because at the start of the season, he looked really good, really attacking, and I think he was low 5 million, so I thought, oh, here we go. You know, Arsenal are a big club and all this lot. It's so weird how this has been such a long season because of the coronavirus break, but just to go all the way back to sort of the early game weeks, it's just really funny to see, like, you know, oh, we'll double or triple Bournemouth, and also Ceballos was looking really good. Pookie is in everyone's team at this point. You know, it's just mad to go back and see this. But 58 points with an average of 44 isn't too bad. And at this point, I was about 344,000 in the world, so it felt like it was a positive start. I was beating the averages, but then pretty much, guys, from here was an absolute. It was downwards, let's just say that, because the next week I played my wildcard, and my wildcard team, of course, when you have a wildcard team, you're not necessarily looking for immediate returns. You are looking for a team that's going to set you up until the next wildcard, basically. So my new wildcard team got me below the average, which obviously was not ideal, and I'd doubled my rank here. I've gone from 344,000 to 614,000, so almost double my rank there. 4 million for the game week rank. So Pope makes a appearance. Emerson, I had such high hopes for Emerson early on in the season. He was looking really attacking. He looked like he'd replaced Alonso. Stat wise, he was looking really good. He just never came to pass, really, did he? Trent Alexander-Arnold, of course, what a player he was. And Luca Dean, the start of the season, Everton defence was pretty solid. Kevin De Bruyne with 13. Again, wrong captaincy pick for me. I took the punt on Lanzini because I know I was waiting for a couple of West Ham games. Ceballos is still there, and then the Barnes train, well and truly alive, and then Pookie as well with Sionchu, Lundstrom and Greenwood on my bench. So not a great start to my my wildcard, but if you can believe it, guys, it got even worse. So if we have a look at the following game week, this is the week where so this is where I hit my lowest rank of the season. I went from 614,000 to 2.18 million. What to say? Well, no one did anything. Salah captaincy, nope. Salah was the only one that got any kind of return from me in my entire team. Pookie on the bench for 12 points. I tried to be too smart. So again, that was my own fault. That was Manchester City losing to Norwich, when Norwich basically had no defenders. Everyone was, putting, well, let's say everyone, a lot of people were putting punts on, Norwich to get beat 10-0. They had no defenders, And I thought, well, I don't think he's going to score against Man City. De Bruyne was benched for this game. And of course, Norwich beat Manchester City. And so Pookie with almost half of... If he would have been in my team, it would have been almost half of my entire points scored. You can see 28 and Pookie's on the bench with 12. This one hurt. Like I said, at the start of the season, pre-season, I know I didn't have my computer for all that stuff, but I still did a lot of my research, and I looked at stats and read articles and everything, and yeah, this was a big blow. I'm not gonna lie, I took it quite well. I made a couple of friends on Twitter because they had an awful game week, and we kind of were in solidarity to see who could, because this was a slightly stretched out game week, so we're having a bit of a competition to see who could get the worst score of the game week. So that is what ended up happening. But this was honestly, yeah, it's never easy to get this kind of score, but you get one, right? And it was early in the season, and you've got a long way to go for this one. Now we go into game week 6, and we had a massive climb. We went up to 987,000, so we got back inside the top million with a very good score. And again, the using the wild card for setting up my team for long term. This is when I was hoping it was going to come to pass. But you can see big hitters in defense. Pope with a clean sheet. Otamendi, this is the game I think where he scored like 2 goals. Is this the game where they thumped Watford, I think? Yeah, they thumped Watford 8-0. Otamendi played 62 minutes. He got a goal, an assist, and a clean sheet. Trent as well there. Luka Dean was the only defender that let me down, and Lord Lundstrom, the GOAT of FPL this year, the budget man himself, getting me 12 points. Again, didn't choose the right captaincy option. Difficult to say. Salah did get a return, but this is at this point, people started to put the captaincy on Kevin De Bruyne, and I still wasn't there. I still didn't back it, and I should have. If in fact, when I said earlier about giving Salah the captaincy, if I stuck it on Kevin De Bruyne, I'd have been absolutely loving life. And again, my forwards not doing anything this time. Barnes and Pukki with no returns, but it gave me a game week rank of 371,000. And that pumped us all the way up. So game week 7 brought me back down to earth with a bump, basically, because I was thinking, we've gone from 2.2 million to inside the top million. This is all great again. Everything's rosy. I went back down to 1.5 million. After this game with 48 with the average of 51. Again, my defense doing okay. Sancho and Arnold getting something, but Otamendi and Pope not. Mount was new in the side, and this is when he was starting to get to the Chelsea team and getting some returns. He was a very good option earlier on in the season. Double Norwich. I mean, even in game week 7, for the fact that I've got double Norwich, and I took a -8 this week. So again, some of my old habits were still evident in this FPL season. So when I said that I've learned a lot over this season, and with the ideas and things that I've learned, that's why I'll put it together in a video. You'll see even within this one season the changes that I've made, and a -8 is something I would just not do again. Not for the players that I sort of took these hits for. But even though I've played. This is my 10th season playing FPL, and even though you play it for that long, and this was the first year I was trying to do it seriously with like stats and stuff, sometimes I still let the emotions come over me, and I still did those rage transfers and knee-jerk decisions, and not really considering the ramifications of taking out this player, and and even in game week 7 of this FPL season, I was still making silly mistakes that next season I just definitely won't make. And in fact, I stopped making them during Project Restart. And that is genuinely why, apart from the last game week 38 of the whole season, I had like a streak of like 14 or 15 green arrows in a row because I was just more disciplined. So definitely one thing is to be more disciplined. Of course, you've got to be flexible, but you've got to also be reasonable. And taking a -8 in this situation was my own fault, and I've got no sympathy for myself whatsoever. And of course, captaincy pick was not correct because I gave it to Mo Salah, and Sterling and Kevin De Bruyne did better than that. So not ideal as we go in to game week 8, and this was another bad game week for everyone because 36 points for game week 8 was the average. And I always say people get a little bit upset with the game week averages and things like that, but if your points is around, even if ever, so game week average of 36 points is incredibly low. It was a crazy game week. The highest points was just 100. So getting into the 100 club would have got you the highest points in the entire game week. So if you're going to have a bad game week, there's a good time to have it, and that's when everyone else is having a bad game week. If the average points is 60 and you get 20, that absolutely kills your rank. But if the average is 36 and I've got 35, I went from 1,573,000 to 1.7 million. So I lost almost 200k rank in this. Of course, earlier in the season, the bigger the rank jumps, right? Because the points are still really close. But again, captaincy pick, I wouldn't have changed it. Sterling, but no one got anything for this team. Pope got me a clean sheet and a bonus, or it was a save. Lundstrom getting me 5 points. Mount's getting me 7, and then that was it in my entire squad. Even on my bench, there's nothing. Rico got me 2, Greenwood got me 1, Sancho got me 0. So wasn't a good game week for me. It wasn't a good game week for anybody. Unfortunately, game week 9 was also difficult because I went from 1.6 or 1.7 million to 1.9 million. So again, game week 9, I'm rocking around the 2 million mark. But it was another game week where you can see the highest points were 98. So we all thought game week 8 was bad. Game week 9 got worse. The highest points just being 98. Average was 37. I got 36, so just below the average again. I had a Callum Wilson punt on captaincy here. Should have maybe just gone for Sterling, but Mahrez got me nothing. Mount, everyone got me nothing except Rico was the player of the week with 8, and I was not obviously going to give Rico the captaincy for this game week, despite me giving it to Callum Wilson. But another tough game week, and I took a -4 again. So in the few game weeks, so game week 8 I didn't take any hits, but game week 7 -8, game week 9 -4. These are the kind of decisions that I'm saying that no sympathy, it's my own fault. I can't even claim inexperience because I know the game. I just let my emotions or feelings take over it, and that was my own, definitely my own mistake there. Game week 10 though, slightly above the average here, 57 points. I went from 1.9 million to 1.6 million. Finally, game week 10, I think this is it, the first game week where I've actually chosen the best player in my team to get me the most points. It was Raheem Sterling with the captaincy. Got me 22 points, so double-digit hold doubled is always lovely. And just for a change, it was pretty nice, but I still was only, you can see, 8 points. So 8 points? Yeah, 8 points above the average, which isn't fantastic. But this took me to 1.6 million, so about 300k rank rise there. It's still really close after even just 10 game weeks, but yeah, still pretty happy with that. Otamendi on my bench there for 0, Rico on my bench for 5. But apart from that, it's pretty standard. Having a look then at game week 11. Another good game week. So we started going a bit of a rise here. 1.6 million to 1.5/1.4 million. 67 points. So we're now looking at slightly more above the average. 14 points above the average here. But again, a -4. So if I'm probably looking at like minus 16 points in the last like 3 or 4 game weeks. And that is just not, especially when it's not too long after my wild card. It just goes to show that, yeah, earlier on in the season, I was still making those stubborn, silly decisions. But Lundstrom with his massive 21-point haul, which was an absolute dream. Sionchu with 14. TAA with 7, so my defense was absolutely the reason for my success here. But then a lovely 12 points up front, and Willems even on my bench there for 8 points for Newcastle, and Rico with 6. This was a fantastic game week for defenders. And in game week 12, we slightly go up again, 10 points above the average here. Went from 1.4 million to 1.3 million. Pope. So you can see it. Pope's been, I joke that I'm the Pope Appreciation Society, but I have had him for a lot of this season, and with good reason, because Burnley are usually pretty strong defensively, and that man just missed out on the Golden Glove. But this was the week for midfielders. You can see Mane being my captain. At this point, my dream was the Mane-Salah combination, and because of injuries and people getting dropped, and they just never actually clicked together at the same time. I've not seen a lot of success from people using Mane and Salah for all season, but this was a good game week because it was a point with it. So I know I've not chosen my best player for this, but Mane getting 7, Salah getting 8, I wasn't too upset about that. And then Abraham getting me 8 as well. So even though as a team it wasn't great, I think only about 4 people actually got me, 5 people got me a return, which isn't too bad. But Sionchu on my bench there for 8 points. So I went for a punt on Willems, and this is another thing that I learned then. So I was chasing points for this game week. So you can see last week in game week 11, Willems got 8 points. And Sionchu, if we go back just one game week, got 14. So I benched him. I don't know why I did that, to be honest. I don't know why, but obviously it cost me. I went for Willems over Sionchu, and that was a mistake there. So it's good. So I'm looking back and I'm remembering the mistakes that I've made, and hopefully I'll avoid that in the future. Game week 13, again, 10 points above the average, and we've gone to 1.2 million. Again, I was... So... what was it, 5 game weeks ago, game week 9, I was 1.9 million, and I fought my way up to 1.2 million. I was like, yes, we've still got a long way to go. We're on the rise, 10 points above. it wasn't a fantastic game week. A few sevens. Mane getting me another captaincy pick. So I think that's 2 perfect captaincy picks from my entire team. So again, it's a rarity. But Pope again with 9 points. Sancho with 6. De Bruyne with 7. Mane got me 18 with the captain. Mr. Reliable. The Mexican marksman Jimenez getting me 7. So it was an okay game week, not fantastic, but it got me up to 1.2 million. And then game week 14 happened, where I got 11 points under, and I dropped again to 1.6 million. So I'd been clawing. I've gone from 1.9 to 1.6 to 1.4 to 1.3 to 1.2, and then dropped all the way down back to 1.6. So I literally reverted back to 4 game weeks prior in game week 10. And again, it was tough. Trent getting me 10, and that was Vardy and Jimenez getting me a little bit of something up front. But again, not choosing the right captaincy option. This is like Vardy on a roll at this point as well. Maybe you should have jumped on the captaincy on him a little bit earlier. And Williams back on the bench. So I dropped Williams because he didn't get me something the week before. And then he got me 7 points on the bench, which was just not good. And I took a -4 again. So many hits. And I know a lot of people say, yeah, take a hit if it's worth it. And I used to just take hits for fun. Even at the start of this season, I'm taking a lot of hits. But I tell you, since Project Restart, I did not take a lot of hits. I think I maybe took 8 points for the last 8 games of the season. So I think that's something that I'm going to be just a bit more patient and I always tell people, analyze, how many points are they going to get, how long are you going to keep that new player in. Some of these players, I'm taking a -4, and then the next week I'm taking them out of the team, and that's just not the right thing to do. So something that I've learned again this season. So down to 1.6, but we went back up to 1.5 million. So a little bit above the average, 58, with the average at 49. So we jumped from 1.6 million to 1.5 million, so we just kept climbing up. Every time we went up about 100,000, but then every time we went down, we dropped like 500k. That was a real killer for me there. But going through this team, so Yunchu there with 5 points, that's a clean sheet and a yellow card. Mane, vice captain, 15 points, and I captained Jamie Vardy this week. So Abraham with 12, Vardy got 5, but captaincy doubled, so I didn't back Mane. And again, Williams on my bench for 6 points. So I've probably lost 8, 16, maybe about 24 points plus whatever person like Lundstrom if I swapped him out. So maybe about 20 points lost because I benched Williams so much. And Rico last on my bench for 9 points. So quite a few points left on the bench that game weekend. And this is where I took the punt on Zaha. I went 1 or 2 game weeks early. I think a lot of FPL managers go through this every year where they bring in Zaha for a few game weeks because he looks like he's got good fixtures, it looks like he's got a bit of potential, and then just lets you down. It's a little bit like Everton in that regard. I think Everton do that quite a bit. And I think he got 1 decent game week out of me. So 1.5 million in game week 15. And then, we dropped down again to just inside 1.8 million. So we dropped another 200,000 or 300,000 on this red arrow, which was just tough to take. I had Dele Alli for 9 points on this one, which was not too bad. And I had a Jamie Vardy captaincy again. So 13 points for Vardy. He doubles me to 26. So again, another successful captaincy pick. I think that makes it 3 out of 16 so far. I told you I had a terrible season for captaincy picks. It's something I've really got to look at. It's the biggest decision you make every week. And again, I've taken another -4 here, guys. And so I'll count up at the end how many points I've lost from how many hits I've taken this season, because it is far too many. So there's Zaha getting 2 points again. Traore's in my side. He was in my side pretty early. 2 points, and Jimenez getting me 5. Mr. Reliable there. Mane on the bench, because I think that's the game week he got dropped. Game week 17 now. And we got one of the smallest green arrows I got this season. I went from 1,788,000 to 1,722,000. So I got 5 points above the average here, and I got the tiniest one. So this was around the time when Spurs had really good fixtures and people were doubling up on them, myself included. They were looking pretty good. I think this is when Mourinho just joined, and Spurs looked like they were going to up their game a little bit. So I doubled up on Spurs. a lot of people finished the season doubling on Spurs. I did say don't do that because it'll let you down. I brought Son in, and we know what happened in game week 38. He did nothing. But there you go, Zaha getting me 8 points. So the game week I was waiting for him to play, this was it. I brought him in too early. I should just brought him in for this game week. Lundstram getting 11 points. TAA getting me 6. Pope getting me 6, and Sioncho getting me 3. And Vardy captaincy, 5 points go to 10. So wasn't the best player in my team, but I still wouldn't have changed that decision. But Traore on my bench for 10 points. Rico on my bench for 6 points. I think Rico got a lot of bench points for people because at this point as well, Bournemouth were not doing well defensively, but I think he was on corners at this point. And a lot of people would bench Rico. And again, I wouldn't go back and change that decision. That's something I still would have done again. So a tiny green arrow, and then boom, we're back to red arrows with another tough game week for most people. Highest points being 100 again, so average game week points was 38, and I got 37. I got nothing. Jamie Vardy got me 9 points, but my captain, my wonderful, wonderful captain for this game week, Heung-min Son, getting sent off for a -2. But Heung-min Son getting me a red card was just, how do you plan against that, right? So I went from 1.7 million to 1.85. I was losing a little bit of will here, guys, if I'm perfectly honest. It's tough because obviously there's 20, we're halfway through the season, and I'm seeing people on Twitter, I'm seeing people on YouTube, and they're all, 50k and 100k and 200k, and I'm just like, yeah, add a couple of extra zeros to that, and that's where I am. And it was pretty difficult at this point. My team value was all right. I was at 104.5 million, which isn't too bad at this point of the season. And actually, I did well to upgrade my value at this point because I stuck with the Bournemouth players for a few weeks and people like Sigurdsson. I remember in the first couple of game weeks, like Fraser, Wilson, Sigurdsson, all these players lost money for me. So my team value was terrible. In fact, in game week 6, I had 101.4 million, which is not particularly great for even if it's that early in the season. But yeah, it was getting tough at this point, especially that red card. I thought, I've had tough captaincy picks as it is this season, and then for my captain to not even just get 0, but to get me -2 was just incredible. I couldn't believe it. And then game week 19, I thought, no, I'm gonna pick this up a little bit. But again, here's the example I'm saying of making bad decisions with hits and transfers. I took a -8 after that. And now I've gone from 1,851,000 to 1,886,000 because I took a hit. And that was, again, so game week 19, I've got another green arrow, another red arrow. I'm all the way down to 1.88 million, sorry, and I took another hit. So Dele Alli was my best captaincy choice, second best, because Jimenez got 11 points. So people got me some stuff. My defense did absolutely nothing, but Grealish, Ali, Mane, De Bruyne, my entire midfield there, all 4 of them getting me some kind of return, and Jimenez, but on my bench, yet again, Traore for 13 points. So I've put a lot of points on the bench, it seems, and not making the right captaincy picks and too many hits. So they're the 3 big things that I think I've learned so far that I already knew, and I'm just showing you guys, but also by reviewing this, I can see exactly like, I'm confirming it, right? My captaincy picks aren't right. I'm leaving too many points on the bench, and I'm definitely taking too many hits and rage hits. These aren't sensible. Okay, I'm making a -8, but this player's going to give me this, and this player's going to be in for 10 weeks, and no, they were rage transfers 100%. Going into game week 20, 68 points. So finally, I've done all right. I've gone from 1.8 million to 1.6 million. So a little bit of a jump, 200k. Kiko Firmino. I had to argue about one of these because he got subbed one time in like the 61st minute, and FPL had him as going off in the 59th minute. And I thought, no, I want his clean sheet. That's 5 points. But Kiko Firmino, what a man, brought him in there for Watford. Kevin De Bruyne, I chose my best captain. So another one, I think that's like 4 out of 20 so far where I've chosen my best player as my captaincy pick. But there you go, 28 points. I bring in Traore, and he gets me 1 point. after leaving all those points on the bench last week. Abraham getting me 7, Jimenez getting me 1 as well, Grealish just getting me 1, but Mane, De Bruyne, Trent and Kiko getting me the points for 68 for this week, but a big captaincy pick. And that just goes to show, guys, how important a captaincy pick is, because they can make or break your game week. So don't make those ones too lightly. Automatic substitution though, Vardy went out for Traore because Vardy didn't play, and Traore came on for 1 point. But I didn't leave any points on the bench, so there's not a lot I could do about that. So again, I was getting a little bit hopeful again. I was like, right, now's the time we climb. Game week 20, up we go. This is it. And that did not obviously come to pass, because the next game week, I go all the way back down to 1.8. So like I said earlier, I like climb, and then I just fall down. So automatic substitutions, Vardy out, Grealish in as my vice-captain. Sorry, not as my vice-captain, as my player. But this was the one where he banged. So he really saved my game week, because if you have a look, Trent and Mane were the only ones that got me anything, but Grealish got me 13 points. So even though I did drop from 1.6 to 1.8 million, if I didn't have Jack Grealish, I would have been in so much more pain. So again, it's getting to me a little bit. And would you believe it? The next game week, I play my wild card, and I get another red arrow. So we'll start on the bench. Holgate on the bench there, getting me 7 points. I took a punt on Sadibi. At this point, he was playing right back and looking very attacking. Trent and Lundstram getting me a nice 666 at the back, the number of the beast there. McCarthy in from Southampton getting me nothing. But then that was it. Kevin De Bruyne captaincy, best player to choose from. So another correct captaincy pick in 22. I started to give it to him a little bit more. Should have just stuck it at home all season, really. But Vardy getting me 5, and then that was it. So it was a good week for a lot of people. The average points for this game week was 57, and I got 58 off my wild card. And then, so that's 1 point. So we're in game week 22. I've got another red arrow, so I'm at 1,817,000. And I've just played my wild card, so I've got less. So something I've noticed just now. The 2 times I played my wild card, I've got less than the average points for the game week. Which obviously is a good thing. What's even worse is the second week of my wildcard. So when you make a wildcard, it's not just for one game week, it's for many. But for the first 2 weeks of my wildcard, I got red arrows and I got below the average. So in game week 23, the average was 44 and I got 40. And I dropped now to 1.9 million. 1,922,128. It's game week 23. There's 15 games, 15 game weeks left of the season. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I stuck with him for a very long time. I benched him towards the end of Project Restart, in fact, so he stays in my team for a very long time. Still think he was well priced. Of course, after the restart, he didn't do anything, but at this point, he was looking really good. Danny Ings is in the side. One of the few games he doesn't score. Jamie Vardy, nothing. On my bench, I've got 10 points Traore, 8 points Holgate, and 6 points Lascelles. If you'd have bench boost that week, right, it'd have been an absolute lovely game week. Trent getting me 10. De Bruyne captaincy blank, so didn't give it to Salah, who's my vice captaincy, who would have been the better option, and Calvert-Lewin getting me 8, and that was it. All my points, over half of my overall points was beaten by my bench. So again, going back to the 3 things I've learned this season: too many points on the bench, bad captaincy picks, and too many hits. So we're 23 game weeks in, and I'm just losing it. I'm just thinking, I'm not cut out for this. Like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. The decisions I'm making were not terrible. You know, De Bruyne, the captaincy is not the worst. I just didn't really know what to do. But things start to pick up from here, guys, so it's not all a sad tale. Game week 24 with 13 points above the average now, and we jump up to 1.7 million. So at this point, I tried to be more reasonable, because this was not the first time where I'd thought, oh, I'm doing well again, and we're coming back, and now it's time to start, because this is probably the 3rd time this season where I've climbed up 2 or 3 game weeks in a row, and I'm like, right, now we're going, and then I just dropped like 500k, right? So we went from 1.9 million to 1.7 million, so a 200k jump, 13 points above the average. A Trent captaincy paid off, but it didn't, because Salah got 16 points. So again, I didn't choose the right one. I went for Trent at the back. 12 points to 24 is still not terrible. And it was a bit of a punt. because like I said, the game week before, I'm 1.9 million, I'm losing it, and I was just like, I'm just going to do it for fun. I'm going to go for more differential picks. And that's something, again, guys, that I'm going to warn against you from doing. Just give it to who you think will score the most points in a game week. I did it because not many people captain Trent, and a lot of people will captain Salah. And what happened? Yeah, Salah outscored Trent. And that means that even though more people captain Salah, they still, at the end of the day, have more points than me. So it doesn't matter. So yeah, I can say, yeah, but if Trent scored more points, well, yeah, of course, if, right? If your auntie had balls, she'd be your uncle, right? If is a very, very big word. Salah was the best choice that game week. I chose Trent because he was a more differential pick. And, you know, I could have got more points if I just went for the normal captaincy option. And Calvert-Lewin gave me 5 points. And again, Traore on my bench for 5 points. Fantastic. Here is a huge jump up, though, going into game week 25. So we go from 1.7 million to 1.2 million. 75. So not only is that a good game week score, but the average was 47. So we were 186,000 in the world for this game week, which is not too bad out of 7 million players. And I nailed... Well, I say nailed the captaincy pick. Mo Salah went 16 points, double to 32. But this is the one I had Snodgrass for this time. I brought him in the game week before because I remember seeing him coming off the bench against Sheffield United and thinking, wow, he makes a huge impact for West Ham when he came on the pitch. And I brought him in, and there he is, 18 points for that game week. What a man. And that was more of the eye test, because obviously when he came on, he just looked like he improved the team. He looked really attacking it. I think he was on set pieces as well. And I was like, right, I'm going to bring him in. He's going to be my transfer. And there you go, 18 points. So that was one of the better decisions that I made. Captaincy paid off as well. So 16 goes to 32. Clean sheets for Lascelles and Trent. But that was pretty much it. That was more like individuals really banging for me rather than a whole team effort. But then that took me from 1.7 to 1.2. And in game week 26, we are 11 points above the average. But strangely enough, now the other ones would usually give me 100 or 200,000 rank rise for being so high above the average. But I think this game week was very spread out. You can see the highest points is 127, which is very high. I did take a -4, so I would have got 71, but obviously I needed to take the hit. And this was 1.26 million to 1.22 million, so a 40k rise. But again, a pretty good game week, 67 points. Calvert-Lewin getting me 11, Ings getting me 7, De Bruyne my vice, unfortunately there. So Salah, captaincy option was alright, so Salah got a blank with 1 clean sheet point. De Bruyne getting me 14, so that's like 14 points lost, right? Fernandes gave me 6, so I've said this before, I got Bruno Fernandes in from his very first game. Against Wolves, and I took him out in the very last game week for Heung-min Son. Obviously that didn't pay off very well. At least it wasn't for a hit. But this game week I did take another hit. Robertson, this is now when I get the Trent Robertson combination, and I'm pretty sure that for the rest of the season, Lascelles, Holgate, Trent and Robertson are my back line. And it actually worked out really well, to be honest. So we went from 1.26 to 1.22. And then finally, for the first time, when was the last time we did it? For the first time since game week 6, we're inside the top million. Game week 27, we're 989,000. 45 was the average. We got 64. So again, it was a quite low average for the whole game week. So 64 was good. Snodgrass on my bench for 5 points. But apart from that, yeah, Jimenez getting me 5. That's it from the front line. Fernandes with 14. So I've chosen the wrong captaincy there again because Salah's my captain and he got me 14 in total. And Trent getting 10 and McCarthy getting me 7 and Robertson getting 4. So again, captaincy, would I have changed it? Probably not. Fernandes was still early at Manchester United at this time. Salah obviously still got me something, but unfortunately just a few points left out. But again, a good game week, and like I said, for the first time since like game week 6, we're inside the top 1 million, and we got 480,000 for this game week. Going into game week 28 now, so we're getting close to obviously the restart, and we go up again to 824k. So you can see the green arrows. We're on a roll now. I did take a hit for this one, -4, but this was I think if I remember, the lowest game week that a lot of people can ever remember. 26 points was the average. It was a crazy, crazy game week. Didn't get my captaincy pick, but Fernandez getting me 10 points for this game week, which is fantastic. Lascelles being my only defender getting me anything. And Diogo Jota and Raul Jimenez, the Wolves combination up front there, getting me 12 and 7 points respectively. This was, I believe it was a blank game week for Sheffield and Manchester City, but 26 points here. Was the average, and me getting 40. So 47 usually isn't particularly great, but that was a fantastic score for this game week. But about 150,000 rise from this game week. Game week 29, 67 points. We go up again to 737k. My front line did absolutely nothing for me this game week, but Barnes for a huge individual 19 points. O'Connell getting me 6, Doherty getting me 6, McCarthy getting me 12. So 3 out of my 4 defending players getting me some good points there. But again, this is another game week for individuals. Pepe is my captain. This is what I'm talking about, guys. Captaincy is such an important thing to do, and I've taken another hit here for -4. It's absolutely crazy. I didn't realize how many hits I have taken this season. What was I thinking? But it got better and better and better, so it's fine, guys. Don't judge me too harshly. So 737,000 in the world at this point. This is the second to last game week before. Is it the second last game? No, this is the last game week before Project Restart. And I was happy with my team, happy with the squad. Barnes with 19 points just put me on cloud 9. I was inside the top million after an awful other 28 game weeks. So it was feeling good. And I was thinking, here we go. We've got a double game week coming with, City and Arsenal and the likes getting double game. That's why Pepe was in, by the way. Oh, yeah, I remember. Okay, so I take it back. The captain option for Pepe was not bad for this game week. It was Arsenal's double game week. And they didn't have their second game. That's why. So I take that back. Pepe was a punt in the first place for the transfer, but I went for it because obviously this was supposed to be a double game week, but it was obviously the coronavirus outbreak that shut down the Premier League. So we jump forward to game week 30 plus. This was the double game week for the 14s, and I play my free hit. So 66 points was the average, 165 was the highest one, and I got 85 points, which is obviously pretty. It was good, but not as good as I thought. So I was 780,000, and this only took me to 724,000, which is quite surprising. So now we're in Project Restart, and here is where my season just, like I said, from game week 28, when I started to be more disciplined, take fewer hits, and just sort of really knuckle down. And then over Project Restart, I really focused and learned back and looked back at what the mistakes I was making. So like I keep saying, the captaincy picks, too many points on the bench, and just silly transfers and hits all the time. I was more disciplined, 724,000, so a small rank rise. Do I regret the free hit now? No, to be honest, because when I look back, for game week 38, the people that played their free hit, would I have brought in Kane? Yes. So I maybe would have got more points there. Would I have brought in Aubameyang? Not really. And I don't think a lot of the players that did get points in the last day of the season, I don't think I'd have done it. I took the punt. I thought about it a double game week, and I just thought, I just want everyone who's got a double game week. Aubameyang was hugely disappointing. Aguero was injured, so what could we have done about that? But Sterling as a captain got me 10 points to 20. De Bruyne got 15, so not the best captaincy option there, I understand, but it wasn't too bad. My two Villa boys, Grealish and McGinn. So remember, these guys had a double game week, so it's always double a chance, right? So 4 and 5, if they only had one game, is still a return. So getting me 4 and 5 in a double game week, that's fine. At least I got those points. Pepe got me 8 because in that second game, right, he got it. And then Sheffield United, after that first game in the double game week, it was lovely because they got that clean sheet, and you thought, here we go, we could get double digits from all our triple backup. And in that second game, they lost it, and Egan obviously letting us down with a red card. It was against Newcastle, that, wasn't it? And then Leno, unfortunately, getting injured in that Brighton game. So he'd already got a clean sheet, and that had unfortunately got ruined, right? That was that's when he got injured. And on my bench, Target with 7. He had a double game week, so I did have 12 double game week players. And then Ayew on the bench, just randomly there for 5 points. So we jumped to game week 31 plus 90 points. So if I actually reel off the points from Project Restart, they're actually pretty high. So 724,000 to 591,000, 90 points. Played my bench boost. Was it successful? Not incredible. People had a lot worse than this, I think. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 points from a bench boost. You're really looking for 15, I would say, from your bench boost for it to be okay. So just under what I would have wanted from my bench boost. But still, Salah, I chose Fernandez, and it's one of the very, very, very few game weeks that he ever blanked. Of course, that's the week that I trusted to give him the captaincy. Mo Salah getting 11 points, so wrong captaincy pick, but as a team, fantastic. Pope with 10, TAA with 14, Doherty with 6, Robertson, so a clean sweep in defence, Barnes with 1 point, but Salah with 11, Fernandez got me 6, but that's captaincy, De Bruyne with 8, Jota with nothing, Jimenez with 9, Calvert-Lewin with nothing, and of course Calvert-Lewin doesn't get anything in Project Restart, does he? And I did take a hit as well, -4 hit, so not too bad at all. And then we get another small green arrow in game week 32 plus, the average was 50, so now you can see, even though I'm getting 24 points higher than the average, the longer it goes in the season, the more difficult it is to make those leaps up, because the points have been more spread out. So for 20 game weeks, I was absolutely nowhere. I was terrible, and that's when the points gaps start to separate. But we do get a small sort of 80,000 green arrow here, 74 points. Again, however, Doherty is captain. It was the first, I believe this was a really spread out game week where Wolves played really early. I went for Doherty, went from 6, got me 12, which isn't too bad. But you're looking at Fernandez with 15, De Bruyne with 14, Saint Maximin, beautiful man, with 15 points there. This was another game week where it was about individuals getting me high scores rather than a team effort. So Pope, De Bruyne, Fernandez, and Saint Maximin, 4 big scores there, and that Doherty clean sheet going from 6 to 12 was pretty good as well. Game week 33 plus 83 points. This was a big jump for me here, 516,000 to 378,000. We were 33 points above the average here. Greenwood, this is where we start to have faith in Greenwood. 13 points from the young man up front. Martial's my vice with 14. Fernandez with 15. So I really backed the United front three from this point. And it paid off. So there we go. Best captaincy pick, 15 to 30 for Fernandez there. Finally, what's that? 5 or 6 correct captaincy picks out of 33 game weeks. Salah getting me 6, TAA and Robertson getting me returns as well. But yeah, that was Manchester United really, really helped me out. But 11 points for McCarthy on the bench there. I believe this was the game that they beat Manchester City. That's why McCarthy is sat there on my bench. What a result that is for them. We're in the 80s again here. Game week 34 plus. We go to 340,000, so another green arrow there. Pope getting me 8. De Bruyne getting me 14, but that's 7 points to 14, so he was my third best choice there, because Fernandez got 14, Salah got 18. This was the game week a few game weeks ago where people transferred Salah out, even took hits to get him out of their side when he was about to play Brighton. I still don't have too much sympathy for people that took him out for a hit. Just like I know you guys don't have sympathy for a lot of the terrible decisions that I've made. So again, not the best captaincy pick. If I'd have gone for Salah or Fernandez, it'd have been a lot more. But overall, again, this was a pretty good team effort. So Pope, Robertson, Salah, Fernandez, De Bruyne, Martial and Greenwood all getting me a return. So 93 points in game week 35. Halved my rank almost. So we've gone from 300, in fact no, it did half my rank, 340,000 to 167,000. What a big game week this was. You can see I got over double the game week score, and I didn't take any hits again, guys. This is a key here. So Pope with nothing, TA with nothing, but Doherty with 6, Robertson with 9, not too bad there at the back. But this was the one where I took the punt on Sterling, because I thought if he's going to play, he's going to get me the points, and boy was that right. 21 points to 42. This was of course the week where Antonio got 4 goals against Norwich. So imagine if I would have had Antonio in this one. I still have not joined the 100 club, guys. I cannot believe it. Martial as well getting me 13 points, and Jimenez getting me 8 with a vice captaincy on Fernandez. So again, this was a great game week for me. We get a small 10k green arrow here. This was not a great game week for many people. 40 was the average. Automatic substitution, so De Bruyne was out for this one and Jimenez came in for 9 points, which obviously helped me a lot to keep on with my green arrow streak. So Robertson getting me 6, Doherty getting me 4, Fernandes got me 6 as my captain, Martial got me 8, so I was going for a United player, I just went for the wrong one, but just a couple of points there, and Jimenez and Ings getting me returns there, the 2 reliable forwards of the season. Now we go to last game week, 88 points, went from 157,000 to 103,000. So all of the pain and the ups and downs of the season and the hopes getting crushed time and time again, and we finished game week 37 with 1 game week left to go, a single point outside the top 100k. I have not been in the top 100k this year, and I felt so hopeful. I've gone from 1.9 million in game week 23 to 103,000 in game week 37. You can see Pope with 6 points. Robertson, this is the week I think against Chelsea, right, where they conceded a bunch of goals, but Robertson got an assist. TA got like a goal and assist, right? Doherty got me 12. What a defense that is, by the way. Fernandes only getting 1 point, but Martial is my captain. So Sterling was a better option, I know, but this, just like I took the punt when Sterling got me 42 points as captain, yeah, if I'd have taken the risk, it'd have got me a lot more points, but it's one of them where United had a good game against West Ham, they should have got more, and I just, Pep Roulette got into my head, and that's always going to happen, and especially at this point, Foden and McCarthy are on my bench for 8 points or 7 points as well, but I wasn't never going to play Foden ahead of Fernandes, and yeah, just with situations like this, with Project Restart and with teams having 5 substitutions, I did not want to risk Sterling not starting and coming on for 2 minutes when Martial had a supposedly good game against West Ham at home. But yeah, and also my front boys. Ings got me 4, Greenwood got me 9, Jimenez got me 5. So I was really hopeful. We're going to the final game week. We get the late news that Salah isn't playing, Mane isn't playing, Trent isn't playing. Everyone's going crazy. There's no early team leaking news from other places. We don't know what's going on. And I get 63 points in the last game of the week of the season, and I finish on a small red arrow, 103,000 to 114,000. Just over 114,000 is where I finish. My 2 free transfers were Fernandes out to Heung-min Son. Again, would I have made that decision again? Yes, Fernandes looked tired. They had a tough, cagey game with a lot on the line against Leicester. Spurs were playing against a Palace Team that are one of the worst defensively since Project Restart. They've got like no fit defenders or centre, like, you know, the likes of PVA and Cahill and I think Sacco and people like that all are injured. I just thought Spurs are going to go out there. Harry Kane did score a goal, but I thought Spurs were going to do more. I thought they were going to get a clean sheet as well because Palace don't usually score goals, so I brought in Aurier for Trent, and that's just the way it goes. Wolves, I watched all of these games. I did stream it yesterday, watching it with you guys. Wolves were not good against Chelsea. Jimenez only 2, Doherty got me 0. Robertson got me an assist. Pope, a lot of people tripled up on the Burnley defence against Brighton at home. They got soundly beaten. De Bruyne with 19 points. What a way for the top player, my probably player of the season in the Premier League in real life, not just fantasy football. What a way for him to end the season. Captain Sterling. So again, it was between De Bruyne and Sterling, but with the form that Sterling was in and thinking he was going to play, I probably would have given it to Sterling 9 times out of 10. Ings getting me a goal, but nothing from Greenwood, Jimenez, and Martial getting me assist because he got nailed for that penalty. So for this game week, for this season, it is over. I am already looking forward to the next one. Obviously, I had a lot of ups and I had a lot of downs. It took me till the last sort of 10 game weeks of the season to learn from the mistake, even though I've been playing for 10 years. But this was the first year I wanted to do it more seriously. But even for the first 15 game weeks, I was still making those silly mistakes. So the 3 key things that I've learned so far that I need to do for this season is, the first one is captaincy. Don't try and be too smart about it. Don't try and be too cute about it. You know, don't think, oh, but if this, even though I think this guy's going to get the most points, if he doesn't, then my captain will really rise. I'm not going to do that. Just give it to the person who you think will score the most points. Leaving points on the bench, that's difficult to predict because now, especially with 5 substitutes, you don't know what's going to happen. Most of the time, those people... So, for example, if Kevin De Bruyne doesn't start, he's probably going to come on for the last 10 minutes. So, there's not a lot you can do about points on the bench. But that's something that, before Project Restart, was a big problem for me. But the difference, taking the hits, having a bit more patience, and really, really analysing those transfers. Don't make a transfer the day of the games. So, it's a Saturday, the games are being played... They're getting played Saturday, Sunday and Monday, and you make your transfer Saturday or Sunday night, that's too early. Sleep on it. Don't make emotional transfers. And when you make a transfer, really look at that player. Really compare that player. If you are taking out player A and you're bringing in player B, actually really compare those two players. What is the problem with player A? Why are you taking player A out? Why do you want player B? What are the fixtures like? Could this player A turn their form around? Is player B getting stats well above their XG and XA? Are they getting fortunate? Have you actually watched their matches? Do they look like they're going to keep that run going? Are they looking tired? Have they got more difficult fixtures? So a lot of my minus hits and transfers and bringing them in for a -4 and then take them out in a week or two, they were just more emotional transfers on eye tests. So when I make my transfers, the 2 big decisions, 3 decisions you make every week. Who's your captain, who's your starting 11, and who's your transfer. Obviously that every week isn't going to happen because you might not make transfers every week. But those are the 3 main decisions you make every week. So your starting 11, they're the players that you've got. But if you're going to make those transfers, and the captain, give it to who you think's going to get the most points, and do the same analysis. Who are all your players playing against? What's their form and fixtures like? What are the stats like? Are they achieving above or below what they should be? So just because a player gets 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, that doesn't make him a bad captaincy option for that 4th game week, right? It just depends on how they're looking and what their stats are saying. So if a guy blanks for 2 weeks in a row, but he's well under his XG, he's having huge opportunities, he's looking hungry, he's looking really great, that doesn't mean he's a bad captaincy option for game week 3. So definitely, when I'm going to make my hits, or if I do make hits, or if I make transfers, I'm really going to analyze. So when I took out Bruno for Son, an example, a case study here for game week 38 plus, I saw Son stats. So Bruno stat-wise, he wasn't covering as much ground. He was looking a little bit deeper, and the fixture against Leicester was always going to be difficult because it had huge things on the line because it was Champions League. But Spurs were against the Palace side that had nothing to play for, but Spurs wanted to win because they want Europa League. So Spurs were going to play a strong team, which they did, and Heung-min Son's been in really good form. I think it was 3 goals and an assist in the last 3 game weeks. Let's just check that. Goal and assist, goal and an assist. So 2 goals and 2 assists in 3 games before he played Palace. So he was in good form. His stats were all there, but he plays for a very inconsistent Spurs side. So I even said that is always going to be the risk for that. I took the risk and it didn't pay off. But again, if we rewound back to the deadline, would I have done it again? Probably yes, because I still don't think it was a terrible decision. Bruno was looking lower down on the stats. Heung-min Son was rising. He had an easier fixture. So yeah, something to think about. Over the summer, guys, I will be doing a couple of videos about collecting all these tips and things that I've learned, as well as looking when the game is reopened, making some draft videos, and also players to look at for goalkeeper, defenders, midfielders, and forwards. And yeah, the top videos and the things I've learned, not just from myself, but the people I interact with in the Twitter and YouTube community as well. So please keep an eye out for that. Thank you again for your support. This one is obviously a long one because it's a full season review. I hope it's been useful or interesting. If it has, maybe leave a like and subscribe. And I hope I'll see you soon. I do appreciate your support, guys. Hopefully we're going to keep building up the channel and the community next season, and it'd be great if you can be there. So thank you very much, guys. If you do leave a like and subscribe, I would massively appreciate it. And any videos coming up soon, hopefully will be on your notifications. Turn on the little bell icon or whatever it is, and subscribe by clicking the button over there if you haven't already. So thank you very much for your time, and hope you had a good season, and let's have a better one next year. Have a good one.